Hello, hello! Welcome back to a new episode of A Bit of This and a Bit of That. My name is Yulyah and in a moment I am gonna read for you a short story called Sepotong Senja Untuk Pacarku, or in English, A Piece of Sunset for My Sweetheart by one of Indonesia's finest authors, Seno Gumira Ajidarma. Stay tuned! Before I read to you the story, I will give you a short introduction first. So, Seno Gumira Ajidarma was born on June 1958 in Boston, Massachusetts. He is an Indonesian author of short stories, essays, and movie script. He is also well known as a journalist, a photographer, and a lecturer. And he himself, though, prefers to be identified as a journalist because, in his own words, being a journalist meant covering all his other jobs at once, and journalism is romantic, in his own words. So, Seno Gumira Ajidarma is one of my favorite Indonesian authors. I am deeply interested in him and his views. I always think his views on certain things are thought-provoking and interesting. And honestly, I would love to talk about him at length, but my friends prefer the podcast to be around 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum, so we'll save that for another episode. And in this episode, I am simply reading the story. Gotta listen to what our listeners say, So, anyway, to the story. So, about this short story I am going to read for you in a moment. I first read it when I was in grade 3 or grade 4. As I've said in the previous episodes, my mom teaches Indonesian language and literature, so I grew up surrounded by books, and in particular, Indonesian literature. So I get to know lots of authors and lots of literary pieces from early age, including this one, Sepotong Senja Untuk Pacarku. And I remember this short story particularly stuck in my mind because at that time I thought it was so poetic and I found it quite difficult to comprehend at the time to understand what the story was about. It was like I knew there's more to the story, but I was too young to understand back then. So, Sepotong Senja Untuk Pacarku was written in the format of a letter sent by a man called Sukap to the woman he loved, Alina, and it was originally published in 1991 as the first installment of a trilogy popularly known as Trilogi Alina or Alina's Trilogy, together with two other stories, Jawaban Alina or Alina's Answer and Tukang Pos Dalam Amplop or The Postman Inside the Envelope. I will do the reading in 2 episodes, and in this one, you will listen to the English version, the English translation, which I translated myself. So, actually, last year, I found out that there's actually an English translation of the story translated by Michael H. Boden, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I am trying to translate the short story myself because why not? So here it is, A Piece of Sunset for My Sweetheart by Seno Gumira Ajidarma. Enjoy the reading. Dearest Alina, with this letter I send you a piece of sunset, together with the wind, wave crash, sun setting, and the golden light. Did you receive it in the whole package? Like every sunset and every beach, of course, there were also birds, the wet sand, the silhouette of coral, and perhaps the sight of a boat in the distance. Sorry I didn't have time to look at everything. It probably also had conch, stones and colors, an array of dazzling light reflected on the froth, which, as if dream, always made me imagine all the things I'd most definitely do with you, though I knew all that would stay as a possibility, with no one knew when it'd be a reality. I sent you this piece of sunset, Alina, inside an envelope tightly sealed, from far away, because I wanted you to have something more than words. There were too many words already in this world, Alina, and words, apparently, changed nothing. I would not add one to the countless words already existed in the civilization, Alina. For what? Words were pointless and served no purpose. Moreover, who even wanted to hear words anymore? In this world, everyone was busy sputtering words, and without caring whether anybody listening or not. They were not even listening to their own words. A world that was overflowed with words with no meaning. Words were overrated and no more needed. Every word could be changed its meaning. Every meaning could be changed its significance. That was our world, Alina. I sent you a piece of sunset, Alina, not words of love. I sent you a piece of delicate sunset with the real reddish sky, in exactly the same condition as when I took it at the twilight, when the sun was about to hide behind the horizon. Sweet Alina, melancholic Alina, I would tell you how I got that sunset for you. That afternoon, I was sitting on my own on the shore, looking at the world composed of time, looking at how space and time became allies to incarnate the nature for my eyes. On the shore, on the edge of the earth, the universe was a stroke of all red, and the sea was a metallic liquid, even though the froth on the splashes of hurled wave was still as white as cotton, and the sky was still violet, and the wind was still wet and moist, and the sand was still warm as I put my feet inside it. And suddenly the sunset and the light trembled. Beauty struggled against time, and I suddenly thought of you. This sunset might be good for you, I thought. Then I sliced the sunset before late. I sliced it on its four sides and put it inside my pocket. That way, the beauty would last, and I could give it to you. After that, I walked home with a joyous mind. I knew you would love it, because you knew that was the sunset you had always imagined for us. I knew you had always imagined a long holiday, long trip, and perhaps a pair of lounge chairs, in a piece of sunset on a beach where we would be talking while looking at the sky, imagining and wondering whether all these were actually happening. Now that sunset you could bring everywhere. By the time I left the beach, I saw people came flocking, apparently They were in an uproar because the sunset had vanished. I saw a hole in postcard size on the horizon. Alina, sweetheart, everything had happened, and the incident would stay that way. I had arrived at my car when, from the flock of people, I saw someone pointed at my direction. "He's the one who took the sunset! I saw him taking the sunset!" I saw people walking in my direction. Seeing that, I immediately got into the car and sped up. "Write down the number! Write down the number!" I dashed to the main road. I sped up my car without panicking. I had intended to give the sunset for you, and for you only, Alina. No one was allowed to take this from me. The golden light of the sunset glowed in my pocket. I was anxious because, even though my windshield was dark, but the light was bright enough to be seen from the outside. And turned out, the light of the sunset, in fact, transpaced all the lights inside my car, so my car was in sparkling light gliding over the road and to the sky. From the radio I tuned in, the news of the sunset disappearance had already spread everywhere. From the TV inside the car, I even saw my picture was already being displayed. Gee, it's a mere disappearance of one sunset, and people were already this panic. Couldn't they wait until tomorrow? What if everyone took the sunset for their own respective lover? Perhaps it's the time already to make imitative sunset that can be sold in stores, packaged in a plastic bag and sold in street vendors. It's time already for sunset to be mass-produced and sold by peddlers at the crossroads. Sunset! Sunset! Only 1,000 for 3! On the highway, my car accelerated to the city. I had to be careful because everyone was looking for me. The siren from police cars roared everywhere. The light of the city that stayed as bright without sunset made the golden light inside my pocket not too obvious anymore. Besides, in the city, not all people cared if sunset disappeared or not. In the city, life proceeded without regard to time. Nothing to do with morning, noon, afternoon, or evening. So it's not important whether sunset existed or disappeared. Sunset was only important to the tourist who loved to take pictures of the sun setting. And probably that was the only reason I was being pursued by the police. The police siren approached me from behind. With a loudspeaker, the police gave me a warning. Driver of metallic gray Porsche number SG19658A, please halt. This is the police. You are under arrest because you have been accused to have stolen the sunset away. Even though there is no regulation that specifically forbids it, but according to... I was not willing to hear it any longer, so I flung him away to go across the guardrail. I stepped on the gas and skillfully slipped on the road. In a short time, the city was full of the roar of police's siren. There was an exciting chase and escape. But I was well equipped with better knowledge of the details of the city, the path with changing lights, dark gangways that never made it into address books, secret alleys that were only for the underground people. One car was thrown on the overpass, one other car was lost in a neighborhood, and one was overthrown crashing against a truck, exploded and caught fire. There were still two polices on motorcycles going after me. This was an easy thing. They would never catch up to me. After going on for some times, they would run out of gasoline and the drivers would only be able to swear at me. I looked at the sunset in my pocket of my shirt, still intact. The wind blew. The sky was a tinge of violet. The wave crash was flung away to the shore. Only to you I would give in the sunset, Alina. But Alina, the police was not as incompetent as I thought. In every corner of the city, they were already on alert. I couldn't even buy food to fill in my stomach. Even on the sunset-less sky, the helicopters were flashing light to every space on multi-storied buildings. I was cornered and, in the end, was narrowly caught. If only there was no open sewer. I had left my car when I entered the slum. I ran between storehouses, old houses, pillars and ropes, fell onto the rubbish pile, climbed over ramshackle stairs, until a hobo guided me to a place I would never forget all my life. "Come in," he calmly said. "You are safe there." He pointed on the open sewer. There was a rat coming out of it. It smelled of rotten odor and stench of urine. But the sound of a helicopter with its searchlight abolished my hesitation. "Come in! You have no other option!" And that hobo shoved me in. I stumbled and fell. The bad odor was no joke. The sewer immediately closed, and I heard that hobo lie down on top of it. The helicopter's searchlight pierced through the spaces in the open sewer, but was not enough to reach me. I touched the sunset in my pocket. Its light of golden red enabled me to see in the darkness. I strode over inside the sewer that apparently high enough. I went through the hanging beds that no one knew whether they were dead or alive. I saw the white light at the end of the sewer. The rotten water streamed in as high as the knee but receded as I went further. In the dry area, I saw the vagabond children sitting and laying around. They were scattered, hugging tambourines with eyes that reflected no happiness. I kept walking past them and tried to bear up. No matter what, this was better than being forced to give in Alina's sunset. At the end of the sewer, in the location of that white light I saw, there was a stair to go down. I followed that stair. The light was getting brighter and more dazzling. Gracious! You were free to not believe me, Alina, but you would keep reading. The stair was heading to a cave opening. And did you know where I was once I had gone out of the cave? I was at the exact same place as where I had taken the sunset for you, Alina. A beach with a beautiful sunset. Wave, wind, and bird flapping its wings. Not to miss out the golden light and the ray of violet on the clouds moving in rhythm, as if the flow of a dream. Only there was no postcard-sized hole, so even though it looked exactly the same, it was not the same place. I walked to the shore, submerged in the splash of virgin nature. The coconut trees, of course, the sun, and the palisade seabed with hissing wave crest. No cottage, no barbecue, no marina. All of those were indeed unnecessary. Sunset vibrated against fate, reflecting a golden light to the edge of the universe. I was often embarrassed seeing all that. Alina, is it possible to put all that into words? While sitting on the shore, I contemplated. For what all this if no one was there to witness? After walking here and there, I knew the world inside the sewer was a total blank. No human, no rat or dinosaur, only a flapping bird. But it didn't seem to be a kind of bird that laid eggs and built a nest. It was a bird existed merely for the illustration of sunset. It was only a flapping bird and would keep flapping there. I could not comprehend, Alina. For what was this nature made? For what was the sunset that drove people to fall in love, if not even a dinosaur was enjoying it? Meanwhile, the people overhead were in chaos for losing the sunset. So, quite so, I took that sunset as well, Alina. I sliced it with the Swiss knife I always brought on its four sides, so that there was a postcard-sized hole on that horizon. With two sunsets in my left and right pockets, I walked home. The earth stopped revolving behind me, became darkness that was wet and rotten. I climbed over the stair, heading back to the sewer of my lovely earth. As I arrived above, having walked past the hanging beds, the scattered vagabond children, and knee-high water, I saw the police's helicopter was already gone. The hobo who had helped me was lying around below the utility pole while blowing saxophone. I walked looking for my car, still nicely parked at the supermarket. Looked like it was just washed not long ago. While munching on a pizza, I sped up my car to the beach. With two sunsets in my left and right pockets, complete with the sun, the sea, the shore, and each its own golden light, my car looked like it was radiating a divine light. Throughout the overpass, throughout the highway, I stepped on the gas in full speed. My sweetheart, my lover, my woman, Alina. You must have known what happened next. I put the postcard-sized sunset I took from the sewer, and turned out it fitted. Then I sent the original sunset for you through the post. I wanted to have what I first saw, sunset in its true meaning, not the kind of sunset like the one existed inside the sewer. Now the sewer was completely in dark, Alina. In the future, the elders would tell the grandchildren about what made the sewer to be in complete darkness. They would say that actually there was another realm below the sewer with its own sun and moon, but all those were not there anymore because someone had taken the sunset to replace the one on earth. Those elders would also tell that the original sunset had already been cut and given by someone to their lover. The sweetest, and would always be sweet, Alina. Please accept that piece of sunset only for you, from someone who wanted to make you happy. Be careful with the sea and the sun. The light might wrongly burn the sky, and if spilled, the water would overflow the surface of this earth. With this, I also send you my longing with a kiss, an embrace, and the warmest whisper from the loneliest place in the world. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoy the story through my reading. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until the next episode, bye.